Hey boys and girls, hey second graders, we are going to draw a lion today. And I'm hoping that all of you guys have a pencil and a paper, maybe a Sharpie, some markers or crayons ready to draw our lion. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to show you a couple different ideas. So when we draw our animal, we're going to start on this right side of the paper with the eyes and do kind of the head first. If you don't want to make a lion, you just don't do this main part and you leave that part off. You can make your mane different. You can make it kind of spiky. We're going to do the tail, and then obviously the background is one thing that I really want to see you guys create. When you create your background, you want to make some things smaller that are farther away and some things bigger that are closer to you. That gives it the feeling of space in your picture. And of course, I want you guys to add your own ideas as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of these ideas. First, we're going to start over here on this side of our paper. We're going to do 2 curved lines and then 2 lines underneath. I want you to always pause the video if I'm going too fast. We're going to make the line in the middle for the eye, and then I'm going to make this kind of upside down triangle for the nose. I'm going to make 2 curved lines for that part of the nose. Some people like to connect this to make it look like the lion has this top part of his nose. Next, I'm going to do this part for the mouth. And now I'm going to do the head. So I'm going to start right here above the eyes and do a curved line to touch the cheek on either side. Of course, add some whiskers. And if you want to make it a cheetah, you might add some of those little dots. You're welcome to pause it and go look up what cheetahs look like. You guys have plenty of resources at home to get some pictures of cheetahs. Add some ears. Okay, now if I want to make this a female girl lion, a cheetah, or maybe even just a jaguar, I'll stop here. Next, if you want to make it a lion, you're going to add the mane. So I'm just going to do this kind of zigzag line all the way around for my mane. You can do it differently. Next, we're going to add the feet. So I'm going to do an upside down diagonal line. I'm going to do 2 straight lines across and then 2 straight lines back up. Of course, you can make it different. Next, I'm going to add the paws, some curved lines for the paws, and then just some V lines, angled lines for the claws. All right, next I'm going to add the back. So I'm going to make a straight line come out and then down. I'm going to start here in the middle and do a curved line that comes down and then it stops. I want this line to be about the same length as this line. I'm going to add those curves for the paws and then the claws. Now it looks like he just has 2 feet in the front and 1 in the back. So we're going to overlap this line so it makes it look like when I overlap a line that this part of the leg is in front of the belly. This leg is not going to overlap because it's on the other side of the body. So I'm going to start here at the line, draw kind of a copycat line down, and then make this one shorter. This leg is on the other side, so it looks like it's farther away. Add a few paws, as many as you can fit, and if you want to add the claws there too. All right, this is my favorite part. I love doing the big swoosh for the tail. Keep your pencil line nice and loose. And since I don't want it to look too thin, I'm going to add a copycat line right next to it and then a little poof at the end of the tail. Okay, so my lion is done now. I can add other details to it if I'd like. If I want to add a little baby lion, I can do that. You also want to add a background. So I've got to make sure that my lion doesn't look like he's floating. I'm going to draw a line touching the lion, skip over the lion, and then go all the way to the other side of your paper. All right, I'm going to let you guys continue to add details and I'll be back. Okay, so once you've added all your details, I want you to find a dark Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, you can use a pen, you can use a crayon, you can use actually even just a black colored pencil. Anytime you outline something with black, it makes those lines really stand out. And I'm going pretty fast, but you guys, I want you to go slowly so you get right on top of all those lines that you drew. I also want you to think about when you're creating your background, overlapping something. So if something is behind, like my tree here, I'm not going to see it. So I want to make sure I erase that. This tree is overlapping my horizon line, so I want to make sure it's not see-through. All of my parts of my lion's in my foreground. So it's the biggest, and I want to make sure nothing is on top of it unless I want something on top of it. Like right here, I drew this little teeny lion and I wanted it to look like it was behind the leaves here. Once you've outlined everything, take your time outlining. That should take you at least a day. Drawing your lion, drawing your details, that's a lot of thinking, and you might want to keep working, but you might want to take a break and get an idea for the next day. Erase all those pencil lines. So this is our second day. We're finishing tracing. We're erasing all the pencil lines that we didn't quite make black Sharpie with. And then just kind of sweep those off so it looks a lot neater. And then you're gonna add color. Now you guys can choose if you wanna add color with color pencils, markers, or crayons. And I wanna see some nice coloring. Okay, next part is really my favorite part, is the coloring part. I'm going to use markers. Now I want to show you when you color with markers, I want you to outline the shape that you're adding that color to, and then just slowly in one smooth direction color in. Sometimes we color and we go back and forth with our hand, and I don't want you to do that for this. I want you to just make sure you outline that shape, and then with one smooth motion, color in that shape. Now I just colored in my mountains this kind of raspberry color. I'm gonna color in my sky orange. You don't always have to color in your sky blue. I know a lot of times we usually color in our skies blue, but sometimes making it a different color makes it a little more interesting. So I'm gonna just go slowly coloring my sky orange. I like to start with my sky. It's usually the biggest and the hardest because it's the farthest away from you. Your sky is in your background, and you have to make sure that you go slowly around all those pretty cool things that you drew, like all of these palm trees. I don't want orange in my palm trees. I want it to look like my palm trees are in front of the sky. So I'm going slowly around those. If you have a messy mat, we've used messy mats before, and your mom and dad will probably want you to put something underneath your picture so you don't get marker on their table. Make sure you get just a scrap piece of paper. It can be an old piece of mail. It can be a mess up paper that you use. It doesn't have to be anything special, just so that we don't get that marker on our surface. You notice how I'm just coloring in little bits at a time. This whole part will be orange, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, I've finished my sky and I colored in my sun. Now the nice thing, the reason I want you to use Sharpies is because Sharpie doesn't smear. So if I'm using yellow for my sun and I'm kind of going on top of this black line, it doesn't smear and smudge into my yellow. If I was just using a black marker, it would smudge. I also want you guys to think about contrast. Contrast is how something stands out, how much it stands out. Since I did my sky orange, I want more contrast for my lion. So I don't want to do my lion orange. I have all these interesting brown kind of colors, and I do have a different shade of orange, so I might think about that, but I have these two brown colors and then this kind of peachy color. So I think I'm gonna use some of those. If maybe you wanna do your lion a different texture, like a crayon texture, that will make your lion stand out. The crayon texture on your lion will make it stand out. So again, remember, we're going to just outline the shape with the color that we're using, and just make sure that we pull that line down slowly. This takes a long time. You should have at least probably 2 weeks. If you're just doing your specials class for 50 minutes like we do at school, this will take you at least 2 or 3 weeks to finish. So you'll have probably 2 hours working on this. If you get tired, just take a break. Take a walk. You can look at other pictures of lions. I'm going to put some other resources about lions on your virtual art room page, so you'll have some of those to look at as well. Notice how when it's a big space, it's very tempting to go really fast. But when I do that, my marker kind of looks dried out. It doesn't look very nice. So I'm going slowly with my marker, pulling that color. This marker looks like it's trying to dry out a little bit already. Pulling that color so I get that whole space without any white spots showing. This takes practice, so keep practicing and just do your best. If it's hard for you to do this, keep working on it. Again, I don't want you to rush. I want these to look good. Now, if you notice, I also put my name down here, Mrs. D. That's because I'm gonna give these to the Art to Remember company, and they will be able to turn it into like a lunchbox or a t-shirt or something like that. All right, so I'm almost done with mine. I want to show you some more ideas in case you were thinking about doing something different. This one I added kind of a texture for this path right here. This one I made it into a snow leopard, so that one was kind of cool. Think about ways that you can add texture too. Just by using small little dash lines, you make it look a little bit different, and then that also contrasts from your sky. This one I made my lion orange. I added a moon instead. This one I think I did a little bit of a more traditional lion. It's kind of neat. This one I thought, well, why don't I just add a crown to it? That's kind of fun. And you don't even have to make your lion brown. You can make it pink or green or purple if you want a purple lion. I just want you to think about your space in the picture. I want you to think about your overlapping lines and then also about your coloring. And make sure that you send a picture to me either on Seesaw or on an email.